Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and often overlooked mystery of the Bible, the sons of Moses. You know Moses, the legendary leader who parted the Red Sea and led the out of Egypt. But have you ever wondered what happened to his sons Gershom and Eliezer? Why aren't they in the spotlight like Aaron's descendants? Did they simply vanish, or is there more to their story? In this video, we'll uncover the hidden legacy of Moses' sons, exploring the Bible's intriguing clues about their roles and why they never rose to prominence. Their story holds surprising lessons about God's purpose, timing, and the power of serving faithfully behind the scenes. If you've ever felt like you're in the background, not seen or celebrated, this episode is for you. We'll reveal why Gershom and Eliezer are more important than you think and why their lives matter to us today. So stick around to discover the surprising reasons Moses' sons were not in the spotlight, how their hidden legacies still impacts us today, and powerful lessons that will inspire you to embrace your unique role in God's plan. Don't miss this eye-opening journey into a rarely told story from the Bible. If you enjoy uncovering hidden truths and deepening your understanding of God's Word, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this with others who love exploring the Bible's secrets. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below, and let's grow together in wisdom. Let's dive in. The story of Moses' sons, Gershom and Eliezer, begins during Moses' time in Midian, a crucial period in Moses' life when he was in exile from Egypt. After fleeing Egypt for killing an Egyptian taskmaster, Moses found refuge in Midian, where he met and married Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, a priest of Midian. Exodus chapter 2 verses 15 to 22. It was during this time that Moses and Zipporah had their two sons, Gershom and Eliezer. The Bible first introduces us to Gershom in Exodus chapter 2 verse 22. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." The name Gershom comes from the Hebrew root word ger, meaning sojourner or foreigner. This name reflects Moses' deep sense of displacement and alienation during his time in Midian. For Moses, who had grown up in the Egyptian palace as the adopted son of Pharaoh's daughter, this was a stark contrast. He went from royalty to being a fugitive in a foreign land, shepherding sheep far from the life he once knew. Gershom's name captures this feeling of being an outsider, reminding us of the emotional and spiritual journey Moses was undergoing at the time. The birth of Moses' second son, Eliezer, is mentioned later in Exodus, chapter 18 verses 3 to 4. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." And the other was named Eliezer, for he said, "My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." Eliezer's name means, "God is my help," which memorializes God's protection over Moses when he fled Egypt. This name serves as a testimony to God's deliverance, reinforcing the idea that despite the challenges Moses faced, God's hand was with him, guiding and protecting him through his journey. The emphasis on God's deliverance is not just a personal reflection of Moses' gratitude, but also a powerful reminder of God's faithfulness to his people. Gershom and Eliezer's roles in Moses' journey were unlike those of other prominent biblical families, such as the sons of Aaron. The sons of Moses did not inherit leadership roles or play significant parts in the events of the Exodus and beyond. When God called Moses from the burning bush in Exodus 3, Gershom and Eliezer were still young. Moses, hesitant and feeling unworthy of the monumental task God was assigning him, was accompanied by his family, including his wife and sons, on his initial journey back to Egypt. Exodus, chapter 4, verse 20, highlights this moment. So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. And he took the staff of God in his hand. This verse signifies that Moses' family was a part of the beginning of his mission, despite their proximity to one of the most defining moments in biblical history. Gershom and Eliezer's involvement remained largely unrecorded in the subsequent narrative. Their presence highlights the personal side of Moses' life, balancing his divine mission with his responsibilities as a husband and father. A pivotal moment involving Moses' family occurs in Exodus, chapter 4, verses 24 to 26. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin and touched Moses' feet with it. "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," she said. So the Lord let him alone. This dramatic event, likely involving Gershom, emphasizes the importance of the covenant of circumcision, which God had established with Abraham. Genesis chapter 17 verses 10 to 14. Circumcision was a sign of being set apart as God's people, and Moses' neglect of this covenantal act almost led to his death. Zipporah's swift action to circumcise their son not only saved Moses, but also re-established the family's alignment with God's commands. This incident underlines the broader biblical principle that even those chosen by God, like Moses, must adhere to his covenantal laws. It also highlights the critical role of Moses' family in supporting his divine mission, even in ways that are not always visible or recognized. So now, why did Gershom and Eliezer fade into the background? Despite their involvement in the early stages of Moses' journey, Gershom and Eliezer do not continue to play prominent roles in the unfolding story. Several factors might explain their relative obscurity. Number 1, focus on Aaron's lineage. God appointed Aaron and his descendants as the priests of Israel, a significant role that required great responsibility and visibility. Exodus chapter 28 verses 1 to 3. Aaron's sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, were directly involved in the priestly functions and the sacrificial system, which was central to Israelite worship. This focus on Aaron's family may have intentionally limited the visibility of Moses' sons to prevent any confusion about spiritual leadership. Number 2, the emphasis on Moses' unique role. Moses' role as prophet, leader, and mediator between God and the Israelites was unique and unparalleled. His calling did not automatically extend to his sons. Deuteronomy chapter 34 verses 10 to 12 states, "Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all those signs and wonders the Lord sent him to do in Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his officials, and to his whole land. For no one has ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all Israel." This passage underscores that Moses' leadership was distinctive, and his sons were not positioned to inherit his prophetic or leadership roles. Number 3, possibility of returning to Midian. There is a possibility, as suggested by some traditions, that Gershom and Eliezer may have returned to Midian with Zipporah during the Exodus journey. Exodus chapter 18 verses 1 to 6 tells of Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, bringing Zipporah and the sons back to meet Moses at Mount Sinai. This passage suggests that Moses' family may not have been consistently present during the dramatic events in Egypt and the wilderness. This reunion indicates a possible separation, which may explain their limited presence during significant moments of Israel's journey. Although Gershom and Eliezer's roles are not prominently featured in the Exodus story, 1 Chronicles chapter 23 verses 14 to 17 provides a brief genealogy that shows their descendants continued to serve in Israel. The sons of Moses, the man of God, were counted as part of the tribe of Levi. The sons of Moses, Gershom and Eliezer. The descendants of Gershom, Shubael was the first. The descendants of Eliezer, Rehabiah was the first. Eliezer had no other sons, but the sons of Rehabiah were very numerous. The descendants of Gershom and Eliezer were counted among the Levites, the tribe chosen by God to assist in the care and service of the tabernacle, and later, the temple. While Aaron's descendants were designated as priests, the broader Levitical line was tasked with various supportive roles, including the maintenance of the sanctuary, guarding the temple, and assisting the priests. This distinction is outlined in Numbers, chapter 3, verses 5 to 9. The Lord said to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi and present them to Aaron the priest to assist him. They are to perform duties for him and for the whole community at the tent of meeting by doing the work of the tabernacle. They are to take care of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, fulfilling the obligations of the Israelites by doing the work of the tabernacle." Although Gershom and Eliezer's descendants were part of this broader Levitical service, the specific details of their roles are not elaborated upon. indicating their functions were not as celebrated or high profile as the priestly duties. The line of Gershom, Shubael's role. Gershom's lineage is specifically mentioned in 1 Chronicles chapter 23 verse 16, where Shubael, sometimes spelled Shabuel, is named as the first of Gershom's descendants. Shubael later appears in 1 Chronicles chapter 24 verse 20, where he is noted among the leaders of the Levites. As for the rest of the descendants of Levi, from the sons of Amram, Shubael; from the sons of Shubael, Jediah. Shubael's presence among the Levites indicates that he had a leadership role, though it was not equivalent to the priesthood of Aaron's descendants. This subtle yet significant acknowledgement reflects that Gershom's line continued to serve faithfully within the Levitical structure, contributing to the worship and organization of Israel. The line of Eliezer, Rehabiah's numerous descendants. Eliezer's line is noted as having many descendants, particularly through Rehabiah, as highlighted in 1 Chronicles chapter 23 verse 17. The specific mention that the sons of Rehabiah were very numerous indicates that Eliezer's lineage grew substantially and had a notable presence among the Levites. The emphasis on their numbers suggests that they were a flourishing family within the tribe, even if they did not hold prominent titles. The importance of Rehabiah's descendants can also be seen in the way Chronicles emphasizes their proliferation. This contrasts with many other lines that diminished over time, reflecting a blessing of fruitfulness upon Eliezer's family, reminiscent of God's promise to increase and bless his people. Genesis chapter 22 verse 17. I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Though they did not achieve high priestly status, the numerous descendants of Rehabiah continued to serve in supportive and possibly administrative roles within the Levitical duties, contributing to the stability and continuity of the community's worship practices. The comparison between the descendants of Aaron and those of Moses highlights a deliberate distinction made by God. Aaron's line was specifically chosen for priesthood, a position of spiritual leadership and visibility that came with great responsibility and privilege. In contrast, the descendants of Moses were integrated into the broader Levitical service without special recognition. This distinction is further underscored in 1 Chronicles chapter 24, where Aaron's sons are detailed with specific priestly courses, responsibilities, and honors, while the sons of Moses are only briefly mentioned. 1 Chronicles chapter 24 verses 1-2 states, "These were the divisions of the descendants of Aaron. The sons of Aaron were Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father did, and they had no sons, so Eleazar and Ithamar served as the priests." This clear delineation sets the sons of Aaron as the central figures in priestly functions, reinforcing the idea that God's callings are distinct and not always aligned with human expectations of inheritance and prominence. While Gershom and Eliezer may not have been prominent figures during their time, their lives and the legacy of their descendants still hold significant value for us today. Their story serves as a powerful reminder that God's purpose and timing often operate in ways that transcend human recognition and expectations. Here are some key lessons we can learn from their lives. The lives of Gershom and Eliezer teach us that not everyone is called to be in the spotlight, and that's perfectly aligned with God's design. While Moses' sons did not achieve the fame or recognition that their father did, their existence was still an integral part of God's unfolding plan. Their story highlights that God's purpose for each of us is unique, and that our lives hold meaning even when we are not at the forefront. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 beautifully encapsulates this truth. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. This verse reminds us that God's timing is perfect, even when it does not align with our own desires or expectations. Gershom and Eliezer's lives were significant in the time and roles God appointed for them, even if their contributions were not prominently displayed in the biblical narrative. Similarly, Romans chapter 8 verse 28 assures us that God works all things for good, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Just as God wove Gershom and Eliezer into the tapestry of Israel's history in a supporting role, He continues to weave our lives into His greater purpose, often in ways we may not fully understand. The lack of visible recognition does not diminish the value of our contributions when they are part of God's divine plan. Although Gershom and Eliezer were not famous, their descendants continued to serve God within the Levitical tribe. This legacy teaches us that the impact of our faithfulness often extends far beyond our immediate circumstances. We may not see the full effects of our obedience in our lifetime, but the seeds we plant can bear fruit for generations. Psalm chapter 112 verses 1-2 highlights the enduring legacy of the righteous. Blessed are those who fear the Lord, who find great delight in his commands. Their children will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. This scripture emphasizes that those who fear and obey God leave a lasting legacy that blesses future generations. Gershom and Eliezer's descendants, though not in the spotlight, were part of the Levitical service, contributing to the spiritual fabric of Israel. Their story reminds us that our faithfulness can influence those who come after us, even if we never receive recognition. Hebrews chapter 6 verse 10 also speaks to God's acknowledgement of our service. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. This assurance underscores that God sees and values every act of service, whether it is seen by others or not. Gershom and Eliezer's descendants continued to fulfill their roles faithfully, and in doing so they contributed to the ongoing worship and spiritual life of the community. Moses' life exemplifies that God's calling matters more than human recognition. Despite his great achievements, Moses faced immense challenges, doubts, and moments of obscurity. Similarly, his sons did not rise to fame, but their lives remind us that true importance lies not in status, but in our obedience to God. Philippians chapter 2 verses 3-4 provides a powerful reminder about the value of humility and service. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. Gershom and Eliezer's story is a testament to this principle. Their lives were not marked by selfish ambition or a quest for prominence. Instead, they fulfilled their roles quietly and faithfully. This humility serves as an example for us to focus on serving God and others, rather than seeking recognition. Additionally, 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7 reveals God's perspective on what truly matters. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. This verse highlights that God values our inner devotion and obedience far more than external achievements or positions. Gershom and Eliezer, though not celebrated, were part of God's chosen people and played their part in the grand narrative of Israel's history. Their story teaches us that God's evaluation of our lives is based on our faithfulness, not our fame. Many people today struggle with feeling unnoticed or unimportant, especially when they are not in visible positions. The story of Gershom and Eliezer encourages us to find purpose in the roles God has assigned us, knowing that every act of service, no matter how small, is significant in his eyes. Just as the sons of Moses served without widespread recognition, we too may be called to serve in ways that are not immediately seen or celebrated. Trusting in God's greater plan helps us find contentment and fulfillment, even when our contributions seem small. The example of Gershom and Eliezer challenges us to prioritize obedience to God's calling over the pursuit of personal ambition. In a world that often glorifies status and visibility, their lives remind us that true fulfillment comes from aligning ourselves with God's will. In conclusion, so, where did the sons of Moses disappear to, and are they important? While their story may seem hidden in the pages of Scripture, it serves as a reminder that God's purposes are not always about being seen. Gershom and Eliezer's legacy is subtle, but it speaks of God's faithfulness and the importance of living in obedience to his call. Their absence in the biblical narrative is not a mark of insignificance, but rather a testament to God's unique plans for each of his people. Whether in the spotlight or in the background, every person has a role in God's greater story. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Let's continue to uncover more hidden gems of the Bible together. God bless you, and see you next time.